Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we start with news of plenty of trade and economic action, some good, some not so. But first, some official data will start to be released locally this week, with building permits and employment indicators, both for November and the monthly December selected price increases, covering mainly food and rent. We get the latest update to the NZIER Business Confidence Survey this week too. In Australia, they'll also release building permit data, job vacancy data, and household spending data, all for November as well. The Westpac Consumer Sentiment Survey will come as well, along with inflation expectations survey results. China's trade data for December will come out this week, and we expect the 2025 surplus to exceed $1 trillion. They'll also release December new yuan lending data, expected to be better than November. From Japan, we'll get machine tool order data. In India, it'll all be about inflation. In the US, the early first quarter 2025 earnings reports will come from their big banks. Retail sales data is also due, but most eyes will be on the US December CPI result, which is expected to be unchanged at 2.7%, although it is from an agency where the president inserted a lackey to keep an eye on their data. That same agency released their December US non-farm payrolls report over the weekend, and it was something of a damp squib, but markets seemed to like it. The US economy added just 50,000 payroll jobs in December, less than a downward revised 56,000 in November, and below forecasts of 60,000. These are the seasonally adjusted numbers. The raw data shows payrolls falling 192,000 and quite different to the equivalent small rise in December 2024. The broader population survey has overall employment falling 335,000 in December, double the 2024 change. The US unemployment rate ended the year at 4.4%, a tick less than November's 4.5%, but well above December 2024's 4.1%. And December 2023's 3.8%. Average weekly earnings rose 3.8% from a year ago, keeping pace with inflation. Most analysts now see almost no chance of a rate cut at the Fed's January 29 meeting. Trump's inserted Moran remains almost a lone voice on that. US consumer debt trends are showing similar signs of stress and are looking topped out. Total debt rose only $4.2 billion in November and well below market expectations of a modest $10 billion rise. It is equivalent to a 1% annual rise. Revolving credit, that's for credit cards and the like, fell at an annual rate of 1.9%, while non-revolving credit, which includes car and student loans, went up 2%. So the latest update of a key consumer sentiment survey, this one from the University of Michigan, remained very low, but little changed in January from December, and 25% lower than year-ago levels, 17% lower than 2 years ago. And we should also note that markets are now expecting the US Supreme Court to rule on its tariff case, possibly on Thursday. In Canada, employment was little changed in December, up a minor 8,200. But full-time employment grew 50,100, while part-time jobs shrank 42,000. It will be a rebalancing they will welcome. Their employed workforce is now 21.1 million people, up 1.1% from a year ago. Analysts see much less of a chance of an interest rate hike there in 2026 after this labour market result. In Japan, household spending was expected to bounce back in November after the weak October result. It did, but by very much more than expected. That was enough to take it up 2.9% from a year ago and very much better than the market expectations of a 0.9% decline. It was the steepest rise since May, supported by higher winter-related purchases and easing inflation pressures on some essential goods. And Chinese CPI inflation is staying very low, even if it did rise slightly in December. It came in at 0.8% higher than year-ago levels, marginally higher than in November. Beef prices were up 6.9%, however, from a year ago. Sheep meat prices up 4.4% on the same basis. Milk prices, now bundled into dairy products, were down 1.8% on that annual basis. All these food price hikes were a key reason for the overall CPI rise. And Taiwanese exports were up 43% in December from a year ago, rising to its second highest level on record. The pace slowed from an unusual 56% burst in November. It says a lot about expectations in Taiwan that analysts were expecting a 46% rise. Indian bank lending rose 14.5% in December from a year ago, the most in 2 years. And in Europe, retail sales rose at a 2.3% year-on-year volume rate in November, up from a revised 1.9% in October and well above market expectations of just 1.6%. The return of rising consumer spending will be welcomed in the bloc. This impulse was broadly back to what they had in the 2017-2019 period. And we should also note that the EU, after overcoming deep dissension amongst its members, especially by France, gave the green light to a sweeping new free trade deal with 4 South American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay, to create one of the world's largest free trade zones, connecting markets with more than 700 million people. The deal probably got over the line because of reaction to Trump's isolationist policies. It is interesting that this deal includes Argentina, which the US is propping up financially. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just over 4.17%, down 1 basis point from this time Saturday, down 2 basis points from a week ago. And the price of gold will start today at $4,508 an ounce, up $8 from Saturday, up $195 from a week ago. Silver is now up at $80 an ounce. Aluminium is on the move up as well, at $3,148 a tonne, and apart from the pandemic distortion, that's a new record high. American oil prices are down 50 cents at just over $59 a barrel, while the international Brent price is still just under $63.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is unchanged from Saturday, now just under 57.3 US cents. Against the Aussie, we're also unchanged at 85.7 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're little change as well, at just under 49.3 euro cents. That all means our trade weight index starts today at just on 61.4, unchanged from Saturday, but down 30 basis points from a week ago. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $90,953 and down 0.5% from Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been very low, at just on plus or minus 0.4%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.